This is your September 24 soul story. If you have a sun, rising, or moon in the sign, this is your reading, and this is Romy. Thank you so much for joining me, supporting, and tuning into the channel. So we're going to open up this month with the Three of Fire. You know, I think there's a part of you that might feel like you're starting over somewhere, but it's not really the case because you're arriving more prepared than you ever have before. It's almost like something that you've been working towards, something that you've been contemplating for a long time, and it's here. And you know what? You might even find a little bit of resistance to starting. But once you get going, the flow sets in and the inspiration comes. And we really want you to open up to the opportunities that that's going to deliver for you. Now, from the beginning of September, Pluto re-enters Capricorn for that final dance until November 19th, and we draw a line under something here. You know, there's this feeling like, I'm so done. I'm so over this. There's a lot of happiness in just letting go. You know, you have learned and gained. There's been so much sacred experience. And it's definitely a time in the first few days of the month to really recognize that some of the coping mechanisms that you've perhaps had to deploy since all the way back to 2008, you know, patterns, things that you've been working on and towards, you know, they're now very outdated. You have changed, Scorpio. And what are you doing and how are you showing up to truly honor and respect that? Three of Fire is giving some motivation, and something does need to be addressed, and we sort of have to come with a good approach and the right attitude for it. And honestly, I think you're going to be incredibly relieved that you do take this on or decide that this is the time that you're now going to deal with this. You know, it might take a little bit more time or energy than you'd necessarily expected or that you would like it to. You may even feel like there's some challenges that are coming up around that, and yet ultimately there's a successful, victorious outcome, and again one that helps to sort of shape some resiliency and improve circumstances. Uranus, of course, stations retrograde in Taurus the same day on the 1st, and then we've got the new moon in Virgo arriving on the 2nd. Now, the disruption of that new moon is slightly affected by a square between Mars and Neptune. So we have our plan, we have our intention, but there's something a bit confusing, unknown, and you know that that feeling, that pressure point, if you like, where Mars wants to get on track and feels slightly impeded by how Neptune is showing up in the astrology conversation, means that, you know, you might doubt yourself a little bit. It's almost just like, right, this is what I'm doing, but is this really the right thing? Or this is what I believe, but is that really the case? And, you know, you're just going to have to hold fire and be clear. And I think, you know, your 3 and your 7 with this fire energy is just reminding you, you know, just connect into that inner voice, that sacred inner flame. It's going to keep you on track and move you in the right direction. We've got a really powerful conversation taking place on the 3rd as well. So as I said, a lot happening in that first week. Venus conjunct the South Node, both in Libra. So there's an opportunity here to reflect, especially around past relationships, past agreements that have been a part of your world. And there's a letting go quality here. Interestingly, with the Page of Earth, it's almost like there's a part of you that says, like, I want to let go, but I feel I need something first. So what is it that you need? Is it closure? Is it some sort of exchange? Is it some sort of promise? Can you give that to yourself? You know, you do deserve more. And at this point, it's like, what is that first step going to be? How do we make that happen? I think there's also recognition around the beginning of September that, you know what, you can outgrow people. And you might have some processing that you need to do in regards to that and how that might impact what's happening around you in particular relationships, you know, whether that be family, friendships, you know, people at work, how that's sort of showing up and what it means for you. I think there's just a deeper contemplation in September about what does this mean for me personally. Now I've arrived at this conclusion, because September, I think for you, Scorpio, does deliver a lot of conclusions to things that have felt maybe a little bit open-ended. You know, there's something about this month where when you join the dots, you get the answer, right? And it's quite clear, and you're like, oh, well, you know, that was, of course, very obvious, but for whatever reason, I was distracted, or I wasn't ready to hear or to face or to kind of lean into that truth. We do have this really positive aspect coming in that I want to call out on the 14th, where Venus trines Jupiter in air signs, you know, Libra and Gemini. And so the messages that we receive, which could well likely come through email, through text, through phone calls, through letters, are likely to indicate where progress, opportunity, and room to grow, room to move on, and to just feel a sense of optimism that kind of warms your heart. So definitely something really mid-month coming in that kind of reignites and inspires you in a super positive way, and I think helps to harmonize some sort of loving vibrations. It's like the heart chakra is really supported well in and around this time. Okay, you may well have some sort of offer or proposal on the table. I also think you're deeply considering like something that you want to learn or know more about. Remember, Virgo seasons is inviting this sort of idea of new rituals and routines, of revisiting things, of going back. And remember, like I said, even though you may feel, gosh, I'm starting over, or everything's changed so much, you know, since I last looked at this, you're intention to have a new plan kind of affords you the opportunity to see what more information or what new things can now help you and advance you. And I think there is this feeling of like actually something can happen quicker than I thought or I believed, because just so much has changed since you last considered it or discussed it or talked about it. Okay, we've got more fire coming through here. Really like this for you. Now we've got this new storyline emerging with a full moon lunar north node eclipse in Pisces coming in on the 17th. Remember, these eclipses expose concealed realities. This new storyline that's going to start to play out over the next couple of years between Pisces and Virgo is going to invite us to consider logic versus intuition, fact versus fantasy, our heart and our head. And, you know, we're going to have an interesting exploration in terms of what that means for us. Around that time, I think something's being exposed that is meant to show you what you're going to be focused upon regarding like this next wave of healing, this next round of healing for you. And it could be a little bit surprising for you. It might be something that you hadn't necessarily anticipated was an issue or a wound, or maybe something that was affecting you quite as much as what you're about to find out in this next tranche of eclipses that will kind of trigger things and reveal things to you in really powerful ways. Again, we may feel some resistance in and around that lunar eclipse, but the resistance again just says, once you sort of just find some acceptance in terms of what's being shown, what's happening around you, the energies that are coming up, things start to flow quite quickly. And there's something that you feel, I think, incredibly curious about around that Pisces moon as well. There's something from a sort of imaginative perspective that's like also gets somewhat of a green light. It's just like, oh yeah, okay, I'm really ready to go explore that or find out more about this. Definitely from your spiritual practices perspective, it's a time to go deeper into things. I think you're incredibly supported through this month. Remember, we've got equinox also arriving on the 22nd to give this beautiful reset. This celestial experience always affords us a time to just harmonize and realign ourselves with what matters and anchor back into earth energies in really powerful ways. Now, what's interesting is we also have Venus shifting into your sign, so there's a certain intensity about what's being felt around that equinox, and the deep desire to want to balance and harmonize and to want to find a sense of commitment with regards to something. You might be asking for commitment or somebody seeking commitment from you, and there's an opportunity to just kind of again start over or draw a line or kind of clear the air. I think that's going to really matter. We've got King of Earth coming through here, and I think the material manifestations that are in the periphery of your energy field, I just have this sense as like a lot of things that you've been working on, investing in, trying to do the work on yourself, with regards, and there's this timely sort of coalescing that comes through in September that just goes, do you know what, this feels like to a certain degree my time to now do this, to move forward, to progress, or to see some reward or, you know, material manifestations of things. I think there's a powerful influence that King of Earth is bringing through. He's also supporting plans that you are making. So you definitely are being either impacted by the plans being made, or, you know, you're working with this individual in terms of making plans, okay? But regardless, he seems to have strong influence in terms of what happens next or what comes next for you. When we're moving toward the end of September, we have another really interesting astrological conversation. You know, Mercury shifts into Libra on the 26th, and then on the 29th, we've got Mercury conjunct the South Node again in Libra, right? So lessons from the past are reopened to look at mindfully, curiously, and, you know, it supports us perhaps in having conversations and communication. Now, you've got the Hermit, so it's either that you feel like the door has been closed and you haven't been able to access something, you haven't been given insight or information, or you're able to close your door on the past. But the Hermit brings wisdom, remember. Now, there's a whole lot of keys balancing here on the string. And it's almost just like there's multiple choices, there's multiple options, there's multiple ways that, you know, you can decide on what happens next. Like, one of these keys fits perfectly in what's happening at this moment in time. And I think you will lean into and know the right thing to do at this moment in time. But I think they all have value. So there's almost a suggestion that if you, in and around that date of the 29th, are having conversations or things are coming back from the past that, you know, are giving you opportunity for resolution and to really release and let go. You might want to deal with it in one way, but you know that there's more that needs to happen, or there's more things that you're going to address. It almost becomes like a little bit of a domino effect. Once you do one, there's a deep desire within you to say, okay, now I'm ready to focus on, you know, all of these other things as well. So there's an awful lot of clearance of, you know, that kind of karmic echo that has influenced you. And, you know, honestly, between now and the end of the year, there's so much that moves out and moves on from your destiny pathway. And it really kind of frees you up in a very liberating experience to say, okay, like, what now? What next? And, you know, as I said, a lot of the conclusions that are coming in are going to afford you the space that perhaps you've been craving or wanting, or manifesting, and then it arrives, and it's almost like there's a part of you going, oh, okay, now I've got it, now what, you know? So don't be surprised where you kind of have a moment where you just have to check in and just, again, like, realign yourself with like what the new conditions and environment and set of circumstances are around you, okay? This month, my Sacred Soul Support guided meditations, check out the lunar eclipse, also the equinox journey for your rituals. And please check out my website overall, romywiser.com. You're going to find my oracle deck over there, Life Soul Vision, my book, my musings. You're going to find ways to work with me, and all of the spiritual tools that I create to support you on your journey, okay? Now, if you're new to the channel, our last 3 cards, Scorpio, we look at in the extended version of my reading, right? So you're going to find that in the link in the comment description box underneath. It's another 30 minutes or so that we're going to talk for. We're going to look at a personal question and a relationship card for you. If you're able to invest in the extended, it really helps me to show up doing the free readings. If that's not within your possibilities, you can still support me with the super chats below, and I really appreciate you. So we are just clarifying the cards now to see the direction we are going to be taking this reading for you. Got another 3 of Wands coming in there. Got the confidence and the belief, actually, finally, to see the vision of something, to see how it can work. That's what I'm feeling for you. I've said in other soul stories this month that I think September holds like another Hermit, interesting. Might be a Virgo energy coming through for you here. There's like a beautiful intensity, I think, that the month is holding for us. You know, the intensity is because so much has shifted and changed, and we're now adapting and sort of realizing what it means for us personally. But it's also really beautiful because I think there's so many realizations, so many epiphanies, so many conclusions, so many dots being connected. new desires being formed. And yeah, I think you kind of come out of this month feeling sort of cathartic in a way, with how things have moved forward in your life, you know, and you've sort of allowed yourself to kind of dance with how the highs and lows, you know, the shifts and the changes take place. I like it though. I like the energy this month. Right, we're just going to look at Life Soul Vision Oracle here. Let's have a look. So this is my own deck. Mirrors of the Mind. We've got Earth Medicine and Magic, Cast Their Spells. We've got Labyrinth of Sweet Surrender. We have Cosmic Rebellion, Detours from the Divine, and we've got Throat Energy, Energetic Expression coming through as well. Okay, we are going to pull one more oracle for Scorpio. This is for the month of September. Where are we going? What do we have for you? The Volcano. Relationships. Express, don't stagnate. Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a beautiful month of September, and take care of yourself. I will see you again next time. Bye for now.